Hello dear student, today we are going to see essential parts of flower structure, that is androecium and gynoecium. So both these parts are very important because they are involved in the reproduction process of flower. So androecium is the male reproductive wall of the flower, which is composed of stamens. So stamen is made up of chiefly two parts. Okay, stamen is made up of two parts, that is the upper portion, the large, this terminal portion is called as a anther, while the stalk of this is called as a filament. Okay, so each anther consists of two lobes. So you can see here there are two lobes which is connected together by a suture. So here you can see a joining line is present here, that is called as a suture. Okay, which is known as a connective. Okay, then each anther lobe consists of two cavities. So you can see here in this picture, here we have two lobes and each anther tube contains two cavities called as a pollen sac. So in each pollen grain we are having a four mother sacs, pollen mother sacs, in which pollen grains are produced. Okay, so stamens can be free or fused. On the basis of that we are going to see its types. So generally this androecium functions, so anthers are involved in the formation of pollen grains, while filament is a supportive stalk of that anther that is going to hold your anther, while pollen grains which is involved in the production of male gamete which is required for a fertilization process of this flower. So there are various conditions we are going to study about this androecium. So first we are going to see types of androecium, then on the basis of cohesion of stamens, then insertion and adhesion of stamens with or on the floral parts, as well as attachment of anther to the filament. So one by one we are going to study all these conditions. So first one, types of androecium, or it is called as a according to length or according to number. Okay, so first one, according to length of filament, we are having a two types. Okay, that is didynamous, means here we are having two anthers long. So this you can see in this picture two anthers are long while two anthers are having a short length. So such a condition is called as a didynamous stamens. Then we are having a tetradynamous. Okay, so tetradynamous means here we are having a four anthers which is having a long filaments. So here you can see this one, these are the four anthers which is having a length high, while two anthers are having a short stamen. So side two are having a short length of filament, therefore such a condition is called as a tetradynamous condition. Then on the basis of number, anthers are having two types again. Definite, it means we are having few stamens. Indefinite means there are numerous stamens, we can't count it. So on the basis of definite we are having a monoandrous, means only one stamen is present in that flower. Then diandrous means two stamen. Then triandrous, tetraandrous, pentaandrous, etc., etc. So on the number of anther, how many stamens are present in that flower, there are these types. Three stamens are present, then we call triandrous. Then four stamens, then tetraandrous. Then when we are having a more than 4 or more than 5, in that case when we can't count that anther. So that condition is called as a polyandrous. So here we are having a many number of stamens. Then next, on the basis of condition, so here you can see polyandrous condition where we are having a many anthers, then diadelphous, monoadelphous. So these are the condition on the basis of their cohesion of stamens. So later we are going to see that. So we just studied dynamous. It means two anthers are having a short length, two filaments are having a long length. Then in case of cabbage family, you can see tetradynamous condition. So 4 anthers are having a high length while 2 anthers are having a short length. Then on the basis of length of stamen, again we are having a two more type, that is isostaminous, means all the anthers are having a, stamens are having a equal length, that is called isostaminous. While another one is a heterostaminous, means when length of stamens are unequal, that you can observe in cassia flower. Then on the basis of cohesion of stamen, we are having 4 conditions. First one is cohesion, means attraction between similar parts. Okay. Then first condition is adelphous condition. So adelphous means when filaments are united while anthers remain free. So top large terminal portions are free while their connective supporting stalks are fused. So on the basis of that, we are having 3 types. Monoadelphous condition, that we can just see here in picture, this one. This is called monoadelphous condition. So you can see, so filaments, all the filaments are connected on a tube-like structure, while all this yellow color, you can see they are free. So when filaments are united and anthers remain free, that condition is called as a adelphous condition. And in case of monoadelphous, filaments of all stamens are united in one bundle. So they are forming a bundle here, that you can observe in Malvaceae family. So hibiscus, okra, cotton, you will have a monoadelphous condition of anther. Then second one is diadelphous condition. So in case of diadelphous, you can see in Leguminosae family or Fabaceae family, these filaments of stamens are united. Anthers are remain free, but these filaments are forming a 2 bundles. So here we have 10 anthers in case of your Leguminosae family. So 9 anthers are fused together forming 1 bundle and 1 stamens remain free. So it is divided into 2 bundles. So such a condition is called as a diadelphous. So majority of your legume crops possess such a condition of androecium. Then another one is a polyadelphous. It means that filaments of your stamens are united forming many bundles. So instead of 2, you are having 4, 5, 6. So filaments are fused but forming many bundles. So that condition is called as a polyadelphous condition. So that you can observe in case of castor and citrus, not in cotton. In case of cotton, you are having a monoadelphous condition. Okay. Then second one is syngenesis condition. So syngenesis means what? When anthers of stamens are fused and filaments remain free, which is completely opposite to your adelphous condition. Now you are having these anthers are fused. Okay, they are forming a one group while these filaments are free. So such a condition is called as a syngenesis condition. So that you can observe in tomato crop. Okay, syngenesis. Anthers are forming a cone-shaped structure. So while filaments remain free. So in case of helianthus, triadax, as well as in tomato crop, you will observe this syngenesis condition. The next one is synandrous. Synandrous means when stamens are fused throughout their length. So here both parts, stamens as well as their anthers and filaments, both parts are fused to each other. Okay, that you can observe in Cucurbitaceous crop. So such a condition is called as a synandrous. The next one is polyandrous, when individual stamen is free from each other. Okay, they are not fused to each other. So such a condition is called as a polyandrous. Then on the basis of adhesion of stamen, there are three types. Epipetalous condition, it means your stamens are fused with petals. So that you can observe in case of Solanaceae family. So suppose this is your gynoecium and these are the petals. Okay. So your anthers are fused here. So these stamens are fused or attached here with petals. So such a condition is called as a epipetalous condition. Epi means above, petals. Petal means petals. So they are attached with petals. So such a condition is called as a epipetalous. Then second one is epitepalous. So when stamens are fused with tepal. Tepal means when your petals are fused with sepals forming a one part. So such a condition is called tepal. And when your anthers, when your stamens are fused with this tepal, then it is called as a epitepalous or epiphyllous condition. So that you can observe in asparagus. Then third one is gynoandrous. So in this case, your stamens are fused with this gynoecium. So they are attached to ovary or style, etc. So such a condition is called as a gynoandrous condition, when stamens fused with pistil. Then next one is on the basis of fixation of anther. There are 6 types. That is, first one is basifixed or innate. It is also called as a innate type. So innate means filament is attached to the base of anther. So here you can see this filament is attached to the base of this anther lobes. Then this condition is called as a basifixed or innate. So that you can observe in Brassica as well as in Dhatura. Then second condition is dorsifixed. So dorsifixed means what? These filaments attached to the dorsal. Dorsal means back side of your anther. So you can see here this filament is attached here at the back side of your anther. So that condition is called as a dorsifixed. So dorsal means back. So in case of Passiflora, Annona, you can observe such type of condition of anther. Then third one is adnate. Adnate means this filament is attached to the entire length of anther. So this filament is attached from top. So whole anther is sited on this filament. Okay, so that condition is called as a adnate. So in case of Mangonina, then Nicotiana, Nelumbium, you can observe adnate type of condition of anther. Then fourth one is versatile. So filaments attached to a point on the back or base of anther. So here you can see these filaments are attached to the back or sometimes at the base of anther, so as to let it swing freely. So anthers is having a loose connectivity with filament, so that anther is going to move easily or swing easily. They can make a movement. So such type of condition is called as a versatile. So in case of your cereal crops such as jawar, maize, bajra, you will see such type of anthers. Then fifth one is divergent or a divaricate. When these two anther lobes are separate due to enlarged connective. So this connective is going to enlarge, that result in the separation of anther lobes, two anther lobes from each other from one side. Okay, so you can see here these anther lobes are separated from each other, which is held by this filament forming a fork shape. So that is called as a divergent condition. Then last one is sixth one, distractile. So distractile means here you can see there is a complete separation of two anther lobes from each other and they are far apart from each other, which is again connected by a filament forming a fork shaped structure. Okay, so such a condition is called as a distractile. Then next one is gynoecium. So gynoecium is the basic unit of female reproductive structure, which consists of your carpels. So carpel is nothing but it is a megasporophytes. Okay. So this carpel is differentiated into three parts, that is ovary, then style, and this top portion is called as a stigma. When gynoecium is sterile or underdeveloped, then it is called as a pistiloid. If it is not developed properly or there is ovule absent, etc., in that condition it is called as a pistiloid. Okay. So sterile gynoecium is called as a pistiloid, while sterile androecium is called as a staminoid. Okay. So on the basis of number of carpel or number of pistils, there are two types of this carpel or a gynoecium. If a flower possesses a single carpel, then it is called as a unicarpellate or monocarpellary. Okay. When a flower possesses single carpel or pistil, then it is called unicarpous or monocarpellary or simple pistil. If your flower possesses several carpels united in one compound pistil forming a one group, then it is called as a syncarpous. Syn means fused. So carpus means carpel. So you are having a several carpels but forming a bundle, they are fused together, then it is called as a syncarpus. Or you are having a many carpels but they are ununited, they are not fused, then that condition is called as a apocarpus. Okay. Then next one is, so this carpel we just studied, basic unit of your gynoecium consists of ovary which is connected to a stigma by means of style. So within each carpel we are having one or many ovules. So each ovary possesses one or more ovules that becomes seed after fertilization. So the area of attachment of these ovules inside the ovary is called as a placenta or placentae, and the empty place which is present in the chamber, that is called as a locule. Inside the ovary, whatever empty space is present, that is called as a locule. And the dividing wall, here you can see that divide your ovary into two chamber or many chamber, that is called as a septa. Okay, so you can see here a transverse section. So this dot is called as ovule while remaining empty place is called as a locule. Okay, so there are two types mainly. When your carpels are free, then that condition is called as a apocarpus. When your carpels are fused together, then it is called as a syncarpous condition. Okay, So they either found a compound pistil, or in this condition you can see ovaries are fused while style and stigma are free. While here you can see a complete, they are just seated together in a flower, but individual carpel is free. Okay, so if a gynoecium with only one carpel, it's called as a unicarpellate. If a gynoecium having a many separate carpel, that you can see here, then that condition is called as a apocarpus. Then if a gynoecium with many fused carpels, that you can see here, okay, so that condition is called as a syncarpus, and the flower is said to be have a compound pistil. So they are forming a single pistil. Then types of gynoecium on the basis of locules. How many locules are present? On the basis of that, we have type unilocular ovary. It means ovary having a single chamber, that you can observe in case of Leguminosae family. Then bilocular ovary means ovary having two chambers, that you can observe in brinjal, tomato, etc. Then trilocular ovary, it means ovary is having three chambers. Tetralocular means ovary is having four chambers, and pentalocular means ovary having a 5 chamber, that you can observe in hibiscus crop. Then on the basis of number of carpels, we are having a monocarpellary, means your flower is having a single carpel. Then bicarpellary means it has a 2 carpels. Tricarpellary, tetracarpellary, pentacarpellary and multicarpellary means when your flower is having more than 5 carpels, then it is called multicarpellary ovary or carpel. The next one is placentation. So the ovary of flower possess one or more more ovules, which later develop into seed after fertilization. So the mode of arrangement of this ovule on the placentae within the ovary is called as a placentation. Got it? So placentation means how these ovules are arranged inside the ovary. So this mode of arrangement is called as a placentation. On the basis of that, we are having a marginal, parietal, axial, free central, basal, superficial. So these are the types of placentation. So one by one we are going to see this one. So first one is a basal placentation. If you see the attachment of ovule at the bottom, so here you can see ovule is attached at the bottom of your ovary, which is having only one locule, no septa. So that is called as a basal placentation. Then apical placentation. Apical means your ovules are attached at the top of the ovary. Okay. Again we are having a single locule, no septa. Then parietal placentation. So ovules are attached to the side walls of ovary. So you can see these ovules are attached on the side walls of your ovary. Or sometimes this ovary is having a intrusion. So there is a little bit swelling of inner wall takes place, that provide a place for attachment of a seed. So usually we are having a single locule again and no septa. So such kind of condition you can observe in a syncarpus gynoecium. Then another one is axial placentation. So ovules are attached to the axis, which is derived from the connate margins of the component carpels. So here your ovary is divided into 2 or more locules. Here you can see in picture we are having here 3 locules. Okay. So ovary is divided into 3 parts by septa. So this wall is called as septa. Okay. And we are having from central some intrusion or swelling, and on this swelling your seeds are or your ovals are attached. So such kind of condition you can observe in tomato, while periantal you can observe in cucumber. Again, such type of condition only found in Syncarpus gynoecium. Then free or central placentation. So ovals attached here to a free standing central column. So at the center we are having one column like structure. Here again we don't have locule or septa. So these ovals are arranged freely on this central freestanding column. Okay, so you can see this structure in case of monocarpellary or syncarpellary. So such type of condition is called free or central placentation. The next one is marginal placentation. It means your ovals are arranged on the margin of the carpel, okay, giving appearance like a pod shape. So it can be found in simple pistil or monocarpellary condition. Okay, so in case of leguminous crops such as pea, green gram, cowpea, you can see this marginal placentation. So arrangement of ovule takes place along the suture. So this is called on the basis of locule or chambers we are having, on the basis of placentation we have this condition. So the gynoecium, when gynoecium is monocarpellary, apocarpus, then placenta will bear ovals which are borne on the ventral suture or along the margin of the ovary wall. So that condition is called marginal placentation. Then next, that we have already studied, on the basis of position of ovary in relation to calyx corolla, we are having two types of ovary, inferior ovary and superior ovary. So when we called inferior ovary, when the thalamus is completely covers the ovary. So you can see this thalamus is going to completely covers the ovary and fuse with it. Sometimes they are going to fuse with it. Then sepals, petals and stamen enlarge from the top of the ovary. So the arrangement of this sepal, petal and this androecium or stamens present at the apex or top of ovary, then that condition is called as a this condition is called as a inferior ovary or epigynous condition. So this condition is called as epigynous when all these parts are present at the top of ovary. Then we are having a semi-inferior condition where thalamus, you can see in this picture, thalamus is forming a cup-shaped structure or tube-like structure, and on this tube-like structure we are having arrangement of these three parts, that is sepal, petal and androecium or stamen. So that condition is called as a perigynous condition. Okay, so this is called perigynous condition and ovary is said to be semi-inferior. Okay, third one is superior ovary. It means that ovary occupies the highest position on thalamus and three other walls, that is sepal, petal and stamens, are successively inserted below it. So you can see here we are having sepal, petal, androecium and ovary is sited above these three parts. So that condition is called as a superior ovary. So ovary is present above this three part, or these three parts are emerge out from the base of ovary. So that condition is called as a hypogynous. So hypo means below, gynous means gynoecium. So these three parts, sepal, petal and stamens present below the ovary, then that condition is called as a superior ovary. So you can see inferior ovary. In case of Cucurbitaceous family, this ovary is present at the bottom, and at the top you will have the arrangement of this petal and androecium. Okay. Then superior ovary, you can see here, this is calyx, petal, then stamen and ovary is present above these three parts. So this condition is called as a superior ovary. Then style and stigma. So if a flower possesses a single style or stigma resulting from a single carpel or fused style or stigma. Okay. So when a single style or stigma is present, then that condition is called as a simple style or simple stigma. Okay, so style is nothing but it is the tubular stalk that connect stigma with your ovary, and it has a few types. In that, the first one is bifid. So styles and stigma is going to be divided into two parts. When this style and stigma is going to divide into two parts, then it is called bifid. So that you can observe in case of your dianthus, not in dianthus but in Asteraceae family, you can observe such type of style or stigma. Then next one is terminal style. When this style or a tip arising from one side, terminal style means when this style is arising or which is present at the top of your ovary. So such type of condition is called as a terminal style arising from the tip of ovary. So it is a most common type which is observed in majority of flowering plants. The next one is gynobasic style. It means that your style is arising from the base of your ovary. Then it is called as a gynobasic style that you can observe in case of Laminaceae family. The next one is lateral style. So lateral style arising from the side of your ovary. So this is your ovary, suppose. So your style is going to arise from this side, any side of your ovary. So that you can observe in Mangifera, etc., etc. Then next one is types of stigma. So bifid stigma we have. It means stigma is divided into two parts. Then capitate stigma. So stigma is appearing like a head. So here they are forming a head shaped structure. Then it is called capitate stigma. The next one is sessile stigma. So here we are having a short length of style. So directly your stigma is going to sight here. They are directly sighted on the ovary. So such a condition is called as a sessile stigma. Then discoid, it means stigma is forming a disc shaped structure. Then globose means stigma is having a spherical shape. So through this picture you can see the types of style and stigma. So first one, A, you can see here a lateral stigma. So this stigma, not stigma, it is a style, lateral style. So you can see this is a ovary and your style is emerged out from one side of your ovary. The next one is gynobasic style. So style is emerged out from the central base of your ovary. Then next one is bifidery condition, so you can see here we are having your stigma and style is divided into two parts, and this style is bear a feather like shape. So therefore it is called as a bifidery, that you can observe majority in Poaceae family. Then sessile stigma. So here you can see in this picture style is absent, so stigma is directly sighted on the top of ovary. Then tripartite, or it is also called as a funnel shape. Okay, so you can see stigma is divided into three parts. So style and stigma is forming three parts, then it is called as a funnel shaped stigma or tripartite stigma. Then next one is discoid. So discoid means stigma is forming a disc shape. Then bifid. So bifid, you can see here, style and stigma is divided into two parts, then it is called as bifid. So that you can see here. And the last one is capitate. So it is forming a head. Stigma is arranged on the style like a head. The next point is a flower biology. So flower biology is an area of ecological research that studies the evolutionary factors that have molded the structure, behavior and physiological aspect involved in the flowering of plant. So what we have to study in a flower biology? So here we are making a study of flower, which includes study of structure of various parts, their arrangement and function. It also includes the process of pollination, period of anthesis, timing for opening and closing of flower, etc., etc. So all this type of studies together called as a flower biology. So therefore it is called as an area of ecological research that will study how this flower will undergo the changes with passage of time. So not only changes or which is made in the structure we are going to study, but also we are making a study of the behavior of flower, how this flower is going to open, when the pollens are receptive, when the stigma is receptive, how much time this pollen is viable, etc., etc. So another definition is the field is broad and interdisciplinary and involves research requiring expertise from multiple disciplines that can include botany, pathology, biochemistry, entomology and range of analytical techniques. So flower biology is a broad field as well as it is a interdisciplinary. So it not only involves the knowledge and technology of one discipline, it requires multiple disciplines to make a study, such as you require a knowledge of botany, pathology, biochemistry, entomology as well as another analytical techniques if you want to make a study of this type of concept. Okay, or in narrower term, flower biology is referred as a pollination biology or anthropology. So it means in narrow sense if you want to study. So flower biology is only deals with the modes of pollination and how this pollination and fertilization takes place. So in examination point of view, flower biology is defined as it is the study of flowers which include study of structure of various parts, their arrangement and function. A very simple definition that we just studied before: flower structure, their parts and condition. So all these things together called as a flower biology. Okay. So next concept is floral formula. So floral formula is nothing but it is a graphical representation of essential floral characteristic of your species. So floral formula is nothing but we are just giving one formula, graphical representation of this essential floral characteristics of species which incorporate sexuality, symmetry, number, fusion of floral part and ovary position. Got it? So floral formula is nothing but it is just a simple one sentence or graphical representation which includes different parts of your flower, their cohesion, adhesion, their positions, etc., etc. Okay. So we just studied, so we just giving one line or graphical information that will represent all the condition which is present in that flower. So it is more convenient to present calyx. So here calyx is represented by letter capital K or Ca. Then corolla is represented by letter capital C or capital Co. Then perianth is represented by letter P, androecium by letter A, and gynoecium by letter G. Then number of parts in the floral whorl is indicated by numeral. So how many petals, how many sepals are present, we are writing their number. Suppose 5 petals are present, then we are writing C5. So number is represented by or indicated by numeral number. While they are free or united, we are representing them by circle. So if your petals are fused, we are putting them in a bracket. Okay. Then adnation between whorls is indicated by curve. If you are having a epipetalous condition, epitepalous condition, that is represented by a half curve above or either below. Then inferior ovary is represented by putting a line above this G. So if you give a line above the G, then it means ovary is inferior. If your ovary is superior, then we are putting underline below this G. So these are the few symbolic signs we are using for writing the floral formula. So here you can see in this slide what type of symbols we are going to use in case of writing this floral formula. So first one is, you can see first symbol is circle. In that circle we are having a plus sign. It represents flower is actinomorphic. Then second condition is flower is zygomorphic. If you want to represent, then we are putting here percentile sign. Okay. Then it represent or only plus sign, sometime you are having, or sometime we are having this Z letter. So that will also represent your flower is zygomorphic. Okay. The next one is flower, pistillate flower. If you are having a pistillate flower, we are representing them by this sign. Then staminate flower or male flowers are represented by this sign. So circle and arrow. But if you are having a flower which is bisexual one, then that is represented by this letter. Okay. Circle, plus sign and arrow. Then next one is, if your sepals are free and they are 5 in number, then it is denoted by letter K. You can see we are writing here at the base 5. So it means there are 5 sepals and all are free. If your sepals are united, then we are putting this value in bracket. You can see here. Okay, this one. Then if you are having sepals, suppose 4 sepals you are having and both are free, but they are forming a two whorls. So bilabellate condition is there. So in that case we are writing 2 plus 2. So at the base of K we are writing 2 plus 2. Then next one, if suppose your calyx is bilabellate forming 2 leaf structure, so 5 petals, 3 are fused together and 2 are fused together, then we are writing like this, K in bracket 3/2 bracket complete. So such type of condition is called bilabellate. 3 sepals fused together forming upper leaf and 2 are forming a lower leaf. Then sometimes you are having a variation in the sepals or petals. So exactly you don't know, then in that case we are writing like dash 4-5. Sometimes you are having 4, sometimes you are having a 5 sepals. In the same manner for corolla, we are having suppose petals 5 and all are free, then we are writing capital C and at the base 5. If your petals are fused, then we are writing this value in bracket. Okay. Then suppose your corolla is bilobulate, then upper leaf is forming fused by uniting 2 petals and lower with 3 petals, then we are writing C in bracket 2/3. Same for perianth, that we denoted by letter P. If perianth is present and there are 5 tepals, we are writing P base 5. If these tepals are fused, we are writing this value in bracket. If your perianth are forming 2 whorls, suppose there are 6 tepals forming 2 whorls, we are writing P base 3 plus 3. Then androecium, you can see we are denoting with the letter of capital A. If 5 stamens are present and all are free, we are writing at the base of A 5. If these stamens are fused, we are having a synandrous condition, then that is denoted by a letter A in bracket 5. If your anthers are in didynamous condition, we are writing A base 2 plus 2. If it is a tetradynamous condition, we are writing A 2 plus 4. Then suppose you are having a diadelphous condition, in that case we are writing A 1 plus in bracket 9, because 9 anthers are fused, 1 is free. Okay. Then in case of epipetalous condition, we are writing here, suppose you are having 5 petals, all are fused, then we are writing C in bracket 5. Also you are having 5 stamens and that is denoted by half circle above here. So you can see. Okay. So like that. Okay, we are writing here 1. So such thing is called as epipetalous or epitepalous condition. Then carpels are 2 in number and they are free, ovary is superior, then it is writing G base 2 and we are giving underline below this G. If carpels are 2 united and ovary is inferior, then we are writing this like G in bracket 2. If you are putting a bracket, it shows you fuse or united and it is inferior ovary, so underline is putting above the this G. Okay. So this is a symbolic set of to write the floral formula. Okay. Next concept is floral diagram. So the floral diagram is a representation of the cross section of the flower. So floral whorls arranged as viewed from the above. So why it is important? So it will tells you the position of floral part relative to mother axis as well as each other. Then it will also gives information about their number, fusion or overlapping. It also gives idea about presence of as well as position of bract, insertion of stamen, the number of anther sacs are present. Also these anthers are extros or intros. Extros means these stamens are coming outside from the petals, while intros means they are enclosed inside the petals. So that will give information about that. Then this section through the ovary, that will tells about the type of placentation, number of ovules which is present in section as well as presence or absence of nectary. So a flower diagram is simply made up of 4 concentric rings. So in floral diagram we are having a 4 rings. So outer ring, this green color is called as a calyx, while this purple color is called as a corolla, while yellow color is representing your stamen or androecium, while this inner circle is representing your carpel. Okay. So here I have few diagrams of floral flowers which will represent their floral structure. So first one which belongs to Brassica campestris, so Brassica family. So this outer circle is tells about the representation of your sepal, how they are arranged, which type of aestivation is present, how many anthers are present, etc. Then second one is regarding Carophyllaceae. This third one is regarding Malvaceae family, then Fabaceae, and another one we have also from a Fabaceae family. Okay, so we just studied floral formula and floral diagram. So floral formula is nothing but it is a shorthand method which is used to represent the structure of flower using a standard set of symbol. Okay, so floral diagram is nothing but it is the diagram which is having a 4 major flower part which is showing in the same order, that is sepal, petal, stamen and carpel, as well as the number of each part in the flower which is also indicated in this floral diagram. So both are representing the same thing, floral formula and floral diagram both are representing the same thing. Here you can see this is called as peduncle or mother axis. Outer layer is representing your sepal. So you can see this is your first one sepal, 2, 3, 4 and 5 one. So you can see K base 5. So you can see here is gap is present between two whorls or two sepals. Therefore, we have written free this 5 as a free, not in a bracket. Then inner surface representing your corolla. So again you can see there are 5 petals are present, therefore C 5. Then you can see these are the stamens. So again A base 5 means 5 stamens are present. Then G, you can see only one ovary is present here, therefore G 1 and we are having here underline. So it will tell you ovary is superior. Then you can see here first circle is there in which we are having a plus sign. It means if you cut this flower from any direction, it will divide into equal parts. So it means the flower is actinomorphic. Okay, then also you are having here another sign, that is you can see circle plus an arrow. It means the flower is bisexual. Okay, have a both parts, that is male as well as female reproductive organ. So this is all about your flower biology, floral formula and floral diagram. Okay, so thank you for listening and watching this video.